Yo, what's good? It's True Villain, and this might be one of the biggest Call of Duty topics right now because Team Ricochet just made it very clear that they are not backing off the Cronus and XIM Matrix issue. Going into Season 3, they officially said they're expanding detections for unauthorized input modifying devices like Cronus Zen and XIM Matrix, and on top of that, they're also adding SMS two-factor authentication for new free-to-play PC accounts. So this is not just one anti-cheat line buried in patch notes. This is a bigger push, and it looks like Activision realized this is exactly the kind of thing players are paying attention to. And honestly, they should be paying attention, because the Cronus and XIM Matrix conversation has been hanging over Call of Duty for a long time now. Every time somebody gets absolutely melted, every time somebody has suspicious recoil control, every time a gun looks like it's not moving at all, people start asking the same question. Was that actual skill, or was that hardware helping? That's exactly the trust problem Ricochet is trying to address here. They're basically saying they want matches decided by player skill, not outside hardware advantages. Now, the first thing that stands out to me is that this didn't just appear out of nowhere. Back in Season 2, they were already talking about new detections aimed at devices like Cronus Zen and XIM Matrix. So Season 3 is not the beginning of the crackdown, it's more like the next phase. They already started pushing on this problem, and now they're saying those detections are being expanded even more. That matters because it tells you this is not just a one-time PR statement meant to calm people down for a week. If they only wanted a quick headline, they would have dropped one anti-cheat statement, let social media argue about it for a few days and moved on. But instead, they keep bringing it up across multiple seasons, and now they're tying it into account security as well. That tells me they know this is still a major trust issue in the player base. A lot of regular players are sick of wondering whether they got outplayed or whether somebody had hardware helping them do things a normal player shouldn't be able to do. The other big part of this is the SMS two-factor authentication change, because that's honestly bigger than some people realize. They're making it so that new free-to-play PC accounts have to use SMS verification, and that's expected to expand further over time. That is a big deal, because it raises the barrier for throwaway accounts, and that matters in any anti-cheat system, because it's not just about catching somebody once, it's about making it more annoying for them to instantly come right back after getting hit. That's one of the most underrated parts of fighting cheating, in my opinion. Everybody always wants the flashy headline about a giant ban wave, but some of the quieter changes are just as important. If you make it harder to create new accounts, harder to bypass security, and harder to keep cycling back into the game after getting caught, then you're attacking the problem from a smarter angle. You're not just punishing people after the fact, you're making the whole process less convenient in the first place. And that's what makes this more interesting than a normal anti-cheat blog post. It's not just, hey, we're watching devices now. It's that they seem to be tightening multiple layers at once. They're expanding device detections, they're making free-to-play PC access more secure, and they're putting more pressure on suspicious account behavior. That's a broader strategy, not just one isolated update. Another thing that matters here is how they seem to be approaching these devices. This does not sound like they only care about what exact hardware name is plugged in. It sounds more like they're trying to detect suspicious input behavior itself. And if that's true, that's the smarter long-term move, because this kind of space always evolves. People change setups, they find different workarounds, and they stop using the exact same methods once they think one route is getting hit. So if detections are based more on how inputs behave instead of only what device somebody is using, that could be way more effective over time. Now, with all that said, I know how players are going to react to this. One side is going to say, good, finally, crack down harder. The other side is going to say, I'll believe it when I feel it in my lobbies. And honestly, both reactions make sense. On paper, this is exactly the kind of thing people have been asking for. But in reality, the only thing that really matters is whether players start feeling a difference in a week or two. If people get on in a week or two and their matches still feel just as questionable as before, then none of this blog post talk is going to mean much to them. That's why this story matters so much right now, because it's not just about cheating as some abstract issue. It directly affects how legit players feel every time they log in. If the average player keeps dying in ways that feel impossible or unnatural, they stop trusting the game. And once players lose trust in the fairness of a shooter, that's one of the hardest things to repair. You can add maps, guns, events, and cosmetics all day long, but if people think the matches themselves aren't fair, none of that matters as much as it should.
I also think the SMS verification piece is going to be one of those things people underestimate now and appreciate more later. It's not exciting content, it's not something people are going to make montage clips about, but if it really helps slow down repeat offenders on free-to-play PC accounts, then it could be one of the most important changes in the whole update, not because it looks flashy, but because it could actually improve the environment players deal with every single day. And then on top of all that, you've got the added security messaging around system requirements and account integrity, which makes it even more obvious that Ricochet is trying to tighten the entire funnel. So when people say this is just another anti-cheat note, I don't really agree. This feels more like a broader escalation. Cronus and XIM Matrix are the headline because that's what grabs attention, but the real story is that Season 3 looks like a more aggressive anti-cheat push overall. Now, does that mean the problem disappears overnight? Obviously not. Nobody should pretend that cheating and input abuse just vanish because of one seasonal update. This stuff is always an ongoing fight. It's an arms race. The people trying to gain unfair advantages are always looking for the next workaround, and anti-cheat teams are always trying to stay ahead of that. But if Ricochet is serious about continuing to expand detections, tighten account barriers, and enforce more security requirements, then this is at least the kind of direction players should want to see. So my overall take is simple. This is a good move, it's a needed move, and it's one of the most meaningful parts of Season 3, even if it's not flashy gameplay content. The real question now is whether the average player actually feels the difference over the next week or two. If they do, then this is a win. If they don't, then people are just going to go right back to saying the same thing they've been saying for years. Either way, Team Ricochet clearly knows the pressure is on. Thank you for watching, like, comment, and subscribe.